So some of you who are following AMD CPUs will know that AMD will shortly be releasing the Ryzen 7 5800X 3D. And you should know this because reviews have gone live as of April 14th. Now, what's interesting here is reviews went live April 14th. The product itself, the processor, doesn't come out into the retail market until April 20th. So you got a 6-day lead time. You got a 6-day lead time to familiarize yourself with the performance of the processor to decide if you want it. But you actually don't need to do that because I've pretty much summed it up here. Yeah, so don't read any reviews. But I will give credit where credit's due. Most of these statistics that I'm going to be talking about come from the TechSpot review, which I thought they did a pretty good job. I read a couple reviews, and some of them just like didn't do a great job talking about things that actually matter. So first, let's start with the differences between the 5800X 3D, the new CPU coming out, and the 5800X. So they're both Ryzen Zen 3 processors on the AM4 socket, and they're both 8-core. So the difference between the 5800X 3D, the difference versus a 5800X is that the 3D adds what they have AMD is calling 3D cache, which is new level 3 cache, and it's 96 megabytes of L3 cache versus the 32 megabytes for the 5800X, which is a pretty significant difference if you do anything cache intensive. Now, what this is targeted for is specifically gamers. They want this to be like the best gaming chip you can get. There isn't a whole lot of benefit for that extra cache in most productivity workloads. But yeah, just quick back to the differences. The clock speed is 3.4 base, 4.5 boost on the 3D, and the regular 5800X is 3.8 and 4.7. So you do have higher clocks on the non-3D. So I thought that was a little bit interesting. But one big thing with the 5800X 3D is that they're saying AMD has reached out to all the motherboard manufacturers to ensure that there is no overclocking of this chip. So they made it a point that this 3D cache that they're using is very sensitive to voltages, and that I believe it's 1.35 volts that it needs to be at. So you won't be able to change multiplier. You won't be able to change, what do they call it? Not front side bus, but the other number there. The thing that's normally locked at 100 megahertz. You're not going to be able to change that, which most people never do anyway. And you're not going to be able to change the core related voltages. There will be some other voltages you can change, and you can enable DOCP for memory and tweak memory, of course, which is a significant thing on Ryzen CPUs.
It actually matters.
If you want to run faster DDR4, that is an option, but you won't be able to overclock this. It's the only Ryzen, as far as I know, ever with a locked multiplier effectively.
Watch, we're gonna find out that this is a bunch of bull crap. They just didn't want people to buy.
Well, I have read that there is a BIOS but there is a BIOS in existence that has it unlocked. And some people, like Extreme Overclockers, part of MSI's Extreme Overclocking team, has been able to take this chip up to like 5 gigahertz with this special BIOS.
Yeah, like on LN2 or something, right?
Probably something extreme,
one thing I do know is you can change the Infinity Fabric. You can mess with that.
Yeah, so that is important because it's good to keep a ratio with your RAM if possible. If your Infinity Fabric is like 2400 and your RAM's 32, it's nice to run it 1-to-1 instead and boost up your Infinity Fabric, because if you have it not 1-to-1, it adds some latency. So just going over a few things. So these are the following tasks are tasks that appear slower than the 5800X. So this new CPU is slower in these tasks. Cinebench.
Oh, great.
Photoshop.
What?
Code Compile. Blender.
Oh my God.
That's pretty much it. But yeah, so here's the thing.
You just like mentioned a lot of productivity products, which is kind of concerning.
Well, this is not designed to cater to productivity. know,
for the gamers.
The fact is, these particular things don't really take advantage of that extra cache, and rather take a performance hit for having the lower base and boost clock speeds. So that's really where you're seeing that. You know, 8 cores is 8 cores, but if they're running slower, these programs are affected. But what the CPU does appear faster in, and I'm going to give the different frame rates in a second, but specifically gaming is what this is for. So the games that this appears faster than the 5800X in is Far Cry 6, Horizon Zero Dawn, Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
Of course.
Yeah. So, and the games that this is faster than a 12900KS, which is Intel's top gaming CPU, is Far Cry 6, Horizon Zero Dawn, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So it's faster not only than a 5800X in gaming for those games, but also a 12900KS, which is a serious gaming chip. You know, that's Intel's best right now. So let's go look at the frame rate real quick.
And
so for Far Cry 6...
Also, just to point out, the 5800X 3D is not like a 5950X replacement.
We'll get to that.
What I'm trying to... I just want to point out real quick that it's significantly cheaper than the Intel version.
What? Then what?
The 5800X 3D.
Is cheaper than the 12900KS.
Yes, by like a lot.
Yes. Right. Yeah, and the whole platform, but we can debate that in a minute.
Yeah.
Far Cry 6, the 5800X 3D gets 180 frames per second. The 5800X got 120, and the 12900KS got 172. So the 5800X has a pretty good lead, significant lead over the 5800X, which is indicative of the rest of the Ryzen lineup, honestly. You know, none of the Ryzen chips, because that's the 8-core version. You could get a 5900X or a 5950X. Most games aren't taking advantage of 12-plus cores any more so than 8. You know, minimally that you'll see like the 5900X will pull away a little bit because it has a higher boost frequency, but other than that, pretty comparable. Horizon Zero Dawn, you're looking at 207 for the 5800X 3D versus 181 for the 5800X or 201 for the 12900KS. So not a huge lead, but significant still. Shadow of the Tomb Raider, we have 191 for the 5800X 3D, 160 for the 5800X, and 190 for the 12900KS. So kind of trading blows in that one for Shadow of the Tomb Raider versus the 12900KS, but still clearly the fastest Ryzen gaming CPU, 5800X 3D. There were some games that it wasn't the fastest in, so
but not by a lot, right?
What's that?
But not by a lot, right?
Well, here's the thing. TechSpot did a testing for 8 games, and they averaged them all. So the data from that is the average frame rate for the 5800X 3D across 8 games was 194. For the 12900KS, it was 203. And for the 5800X, it was 155. So
wow,
194 to 203... it's a few percent.
I mean, it's a big improvement from the previous one they had, and it's not that much different than the... I mean, it's not worth almost double the price, is what I mean. It's not worth $300 more.
Right. So the price of this is going to be $449, which is the same price that the 5800X launched at. However, that was quite some time ago, because if you know, it's if you're just gaming, this might be a great option for you. If you just want a gaming machine, great option. If you're looking for a more balanced machine, probably not your best bet, because we'll just take a look at a quick value comparison to other AM4 CPUs. These are Amazon prices. A 5800X is $339 right now on Amazon. A 5900X 12-core is $384. And a 5950X is $509. Currently on Amazon.
Where it was supposed to be all this time, honestly.
So look at it. Look at that any way you want. You can get a 5800X for 110 less. You can get a 5950X for $60 more and have twice as many cores. So honestly, if you're not strictly gaming, this isn't the CPU for you.
But
there are some great deals on Ryzen CPUs right now.
Yeah. And I think it's a great CPU if you want to build, like, so, like, think of, like, most people play games, and they don't really do much production stuff, right? Like, they're not working on AI stuff.
Yep.
They're not working on Cinebench or, sorry, not Cinebench, Premiere Pro or anything like that. And even if they are, like, they're not going to notice that much of a difference. But for their primary purpose of gaming, that's excellent.
Unless you're doing tasks that you find yourself sitting around waiting, that this is a great CPU for gaming.
Yeah.
That being said, 449 seems like a lot of money for 8 cores in this day and age.
Oh my God, yeah.
And you got to wonder if it's worth waiting for AM5, which isn't that far away.
Yeah, the Marine barracks from StarCraft, yep.
Yeah, AM5. But, you know, you guys can make your own decision, because one thing that's really nice about this launch, reviews went live 6 days in advance before the actual launch of the product. Not something we see very often, like RTX 3050, for example. Reviews came out on launch day. If you don't know if you want it, too bad. You're going to buy it and find out if you want it. You know, so
such a cash grab.
Almost a week.
Such a cash grab.
Yeah.
Like, if you know your product's good, why do you got to do crap like that? You only do that if you know your product's not good. I mean, I don't know why else would you do that.
I mean, maybe because they're fixing things right up to the last minute for reviewers, or they want to have that buffer maybe to do that, because it sounds like from a lot of reviewers that when they have products under NDA, let's say it comes out on a Monday, they might get the latest driver on like a Saturday or Sunday. And they're like, well, great. Now all the data I produced is no longer valid.
We could just use a time machine, go 1 month into the future, do the review, and come back.
That's how it should be done, honestly.
Yeah. Or you could just wait.
And if you think NVIDIA doesn't have the AI to create a time machine, you are ignorant.
No, they already have one. That's why they know when all the crypto booms are going to be.
That's what Jensen's been doing. He's been communicating to us through a time portal.
But you do know the leather jacket's an integral part of the time machine, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the flux capacitor.
Without that, he'd be torn to shreds through space travel.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, dude, this is like obvious. This is already known information. We just, we don't talk about it. It's what we call a public secret. Okay.
Yeah, you guys need to Google it if you don't know.
All right.
Got it.
Yeah. So
no,
I just want to. Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just to wrap this up, man, 449 isn't cheap.
No.
So
it's not.
It's just not. It's not. So the only reason to buy this, I think, this is, it's really a tough one for me to say. I think you should get the 5900X for 384. You're going to sacrifice some frames, yeah. But unless you're playing high frame rate 1080p, you're probably not going to notice at 1440p or 4K. But you will notice those extra cores if you do anything productivity related, or just want to do a virtual machine, or you're one of those people that really likes to multitask and have 20 things open at once. So that's my opinion. I think if you can get 12 cores for less than 8, absolutely do it. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, like they're saying in chat, $60 more will get you a 5950X.
Yeah, or if you want to pony up the extra money, you can absolutely do that.
Yeah. It should be like $50 to, I'd say if it was $300. No, wait, what is it? 400? Yeah. If it was $400, it'd be more palatable. But that
$399, yeah.
$399 just seems like that would be a fair market price. You know what I mean? I feel like that 50 is inflation.
Yeah, so the thing is, they're competing with Intel, but they're also competing with their own lineup. So that's what it is. It's a better value, in my opinion, than Intel, but it's not necessarily a better value than some of their other options.
Exactly.